Hello, you're listening to Talking Out of Slot, and this is a series of special editions for the 2024 World Cup of Slot. There's another video that explains how we did the draw and explains some of why we're doing it, but essentially it's a knockout competition, or a bracket, as I gather you Americans call it, and we're going to compete, or each slot car brand is going to compete against each other, and we're going to discuss which one we think in a matchup wins, and they move forward to the next round.
We talk up the good points, and then we talk about the bits, the idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, and just to get, there's no scientific method involved here.
And there is no public vote on this, I'm afraid.
No.
This is a dictatorship. Because what happens when you invite people's opinion is, I don't know if you saw last year, there was a poll to find the world's greatest rally car, and it ended up being the Skoda Octavia WRC, purely because of a mischief voting. So
mischief voting.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
A thing. Is mischief voting a thing? Okay. So anyway, match one, without too much to do, we'll slicker at this, but match one is not an easy one. It's Slot.it Policar versus Pioneer. Now, should explain, we've lumped Slot.it Policar together. They are the same company, and they make, I'm not really sure which models go in where. I sort of am. But also, we needed 16. And so we needed to combine them. So pragmatism came to the fore. So we consider them as a whole, and Pioneer. So, early thoughts. What do you think?
I think this is going to be a tough one for Pioneer to pull off. They've not got, the defensive line's quite weak when it comes to the Slot.it and Policar ranges. I love the concept of Pioneer. When Jules first started mooting the idea of making his own slot cars, and he went in obviously big with the Bullet pairing of the Dodge Charger and the McQueen Mustang. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about it on Slot Forum, which was at that point, I think, pretty much the only UK-centric portal. So there was a lot going on, a lot of conversations. He put up a couple of renders, which always look reasonable, but then he put up a prototype shot of the McQueen one, and I was just said, mate, that's amazing. It does actually look like Steve McQueen. And at that time, which is got to be 2007, might even be 2006, it was unreal, because you had Mr. Blobby in the Scale Electric cars. We had, fairly limited detail interiors in most things, which I prefer for racing, but obviously there's a market for people who want pretty on the inside. And it was pretty on the inside. And then the cars were produced and they looked amazing. I've always wanted them. And I still don't have them. And at the moment, I probably never will, because they're just redonkulous money. And this is why Pioneer annoys me a bit, because he's done his marketing or market research, and he's mining his seam too well in the collector's market. So there aren't that many Pioneer cars, but there are squillions of different versions of each.
That's a good summary. I've got a couple, or two or three. Haven't yet got a Legends car, and I think that's one of the interesting things to put in their favour, is that they do. That's a quirky thing to do, and very popular, and clubs love them, and so it's a good entry point for kind of club racing as well. Lots of liveries, Mustangs, Camaros, always going to go well. Clearly, they probably sell well in America as well. One of the things which I think elevates them in my mind is the Christmas specials. And not just the cars, so they've got better and better. I think it was last year, or 2022's, which was a Charger in either a kind of cream and red or cream and green with Santa driving, and the livery was like a NASCAR livery, but everything was Christmas themed. There was even the oil company was, I can't remember what it was, like Igloo Oil or something like that. And so there's a kind of, and the box art had been specially created as well, so it wasn't just a regular box. So it's just that little bit of thought and creativity and wit that kind of elevates it beyond yet another of the same car, and I liked all of that. they go quite well. They're sort of faster than the Skeletric equivalents, but they're not demon fast. I don't think that. I'd say they were pretty kind of Skeletric plus performance wise on the Trans Am type cars.
They're a little bit more rattly. And that does tend to mean that you see more gear failures or loose wheels on Pioneers. We don't run the Pioneer muscle cars as a class, and we don't really have a class that they can run in, but there's clubs nearby which run them, and they are sort of by now running Scalextric pinions and whatever's left of the bodywork because it tends to fall apart.
Okay, that's it. That's probably a bad and a good point to switch over to talking about Slot.it.
Yes.
Slot.it Policar. So, I mean, obviously, been going a long time, started off making sort of parts, then started making cars, always from day
the R8C,
one.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
The R8C was the first car, which Maurizio thought was the most beautiful thing ever. I'm not sure he's entirely right, but, you know, it's a subjective thing.
It's a matter of taste. And I think, you know, for services to slotting Group C, in terms of...
Well, that's it. I mean, then he launched with the 956 long tail, and we're now how many deep? 6 different bodies. I should be looking at my collection of them here. We've got 60. Yes, Group C has been mined thoroughly and effectively. Every brand pretty much is now represented. Aston Martin isn't, of course, neither the Nimrod nor the AMR1. Yeah.
They would be a stretch, I think, you know, because I think they would be unique bodies and practically only 1 or 2 liveries on those things. Also, and you know, so Group C for slot racers of a certain age.
DTMs.
Well, I was going to say then the classic Grand Prix. So I think, you know, whilst they kind of got us with one subtle left hook on the Group C, to then to floor us with all those glorious 70s Formula One cars. Leaving a league beside DTM, the DTMs kind of leave me cold. I recognise that they're good. I'm an Inco DTM guy. I don't need anything faster than that. But for the Group C and for the classic F1, absolutely. And I kind of the endurance racing in general, because the 60s sports cars as well. I find every Slot.it I've ever got, you take it out of the box, it runs smoothly and quietly. Yeah. You don't have to. You can fiddle, but you don't need to. And obviously, from a tuning point of view, you can buy different ratios, different tires, different all that sort of thing. So I as we edge towards, I think, a decision on this one, I think it may be unanimous. I think you know, plucky Pioneer, good, well done on making the finals, but you know, it may be a case of, like Scotland, you're catching the early plane home.
Yeah, I mean, they've both carved out unique territory. Pioneer, I doubt very much that more than 20% of Pioneer's output has ever seen a track. I think it's mainly hoarders and collectors. The same people that collect different coloured vinyl from a certain band will be very excited by the Pioneer range. I wish there were more of them, and I wish that, you know, there was a white kit of the bullets so that you can do it at a reasonable cost these days. But also more of them. Let's see more of Jules, because what he does is very good. Okay,
but in fact,
ultimately, if Slot.it Policar isn't in the final of this, I will.
You
I
never
will be
know.
amazed.
Who knows who they might meet in the quarterfinals of the semis? Okay, so that's it. We're going to declare a result on the first match, which is that Slot.it Policar go through. Hurrah! All the rest, keep an eye on the YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts, and the rest of the matches will follow soon. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.